Greetings, everybody. I'm Nielsen Lee, and I want to talk to you today about the Necronomicon. A couple things about it, but most especially I want to go over talking about the gates and the whole art of the gate walking, and basically as to what I've seen and studied about it, and kind of, you know, read a lot of what other people have put out there about it. And basically the whole issue that kind of comes to light first about the whole Necronomicon itself and the controversy of it, which a lot of people speculate about, is it really real? Is it really a real book? Was it just a fabrication of by H.P. Lovecraft, and, you know, later played upon and fabricated by Peter Levenda and Simon? Was there really a John Dee version? I don't know. I really can't tell you. I kind of think not. Can I prove it? No. Can I disprove it? No. All the evidence is pretty much circumstantial. But one thing I can tell you is Peter Levenda did have his hand, he claims, in the making of it, you know, through Simon. And if you know anything about it, you've heard all the stories and how it goes. What I would suggest for anybody to watch on that, if you can find it. There's been a couple videos by Peter Levenda done in the past that I've watched that I just cannot find anywhere now. I've looked all over the internet for some of them and I just cannot find them, which leads me to believe that maybe they were purposely deleted. One of them, the main one, is a coast-to-coast interview with Simon by Ian Punnett off Coast to Coast, and this was the show back in 2006. It was sometime in June, July, or August of 2006, somewhere within that 3-month period. I don't know the exact date. I'm wanting to say it was July, but there was a whole 2 hours, or an hour and 30 minutes, I believe, somewhere around there, with Simon himself, with his voice disguised, of course. And what kind of strikes me about it is that Simon didn't really go on to talk about the gates themselves. You know, when people asked him about it, you know, he kind of shied away and described, you know, that it wasn't really wise to talk about that. And I don't believe so. I believe it is wise to talk about it and to really know what you're working with. I mean, if you wholeheartedly believe in something, then it better fucking be true. Now, the point I'm going over is that, let's just say if it was all a fabrication, and I don't think it is totally 100%, does that mean we can still work with it, or we can't work with it? In my humble opinion, yes, it is a very intricate system that we can work with. And there were similar systems, even as Peter Levenda writes, in the gates of the Necronomicon, taking place in China. They're kind of walking rituals that was in the religion of, I believe, Taoism, if I'm not mistaken. And these 7 spheres, you know, correlate to the 7 planets and the 7 gods of the Sumerian pantheon, you know, the 7 major gods, being Nana, Nebo, Ishtar, okay, then we have Nergal, which is over Mars, okay, and Marduk, and then, excuse me, after Marduk, Ninib, or Adar, which reigns over Saturn. But also he explains in this system of walking, it's what Peter Levenda believes, that these 7 spheres, or levels of the astral planes, also correlate to the 7 stars of the Big Dipper constellation. And he goes on to show in the book of the Gates of the Necronomicon how a lot of that correlates, and I believe it. I mean, I really believe that it does. But that's a really good book, and you should check it out if you haven't checked it out already, The Gates of the Necronomicon. But also, take it with a grain of salt, like anything else. Don't take nothing on blind faith. But back to the issue of walking the gates and the validity of it and the whole truth of the Sumerian and Babylonian system. I want to take time out of my life and make a couple videos about this as I go along the path. And as I want those of you who are willing also to have proper insight and proper knowledge of the whole ordeal. Throughout my life, I've read a lot of philosophy, religion. I've studied in astrology profusely. I know how to do astrological charts and birth charts, and I've got my hands into alchemy. I'm by no means advanced into that, but I'm into a lot of things. And what I can give you, to the best of my knowledge, is some insight that I think is lacking, that other people haven't thrown out there. There is a major key that I want to give you that I believe will help you in this journey of walking the gates, if you're prepared to do that, or even if you're not. I at least want to give you the key as to what was writ even in the Simon Necronomicon, and also even further writ about, but even more in plain sight, in the John D. Necronomicon, about the whole gate walking ordeal. So I'm going to try to bring that to light the best that I can. So now, anyways, to the symbolism of the gates. The symbolism, can we believe that the symbolism and all the symbols on the gates, and that these gates are the actual truth? Are these, you know, the fabrication of Peter Levinda? I honestly don't know. But what I do know that is a fact is that some of the glyphs on these gates themselves are, you know, of a Greek nature. Some of them just look like scribbly lines. Some of them are indeed Sumerian glyphs, like the 8-pointed star, which has been associated a lot of times with Inanna. Also, you know, the Ara, which is the 5-pointed star, or they call the plow sign. So there is symbols on these gates that I believe are valid. And then there's some, I think, that are probably not. I want to start going through this and show you some symbology on this. And especially the first gate, which is the lunar sphere, corresponding to the Sumerian god Nana, whose number is 30 on the ladder of lights anyways. If you look at that symbol, it looks like a gate itself, you know, and you see the word Nana written in there. To me, it looks kind of like Greek characters. But also, if you look in the Key of Solomon, the grimoire written in, I think, the 15th century or 16th century, if you look in that book, you see the same glyph in the pentacles of the lunar sphere, the first one actually in the book. And I'm going to be showing you this and going through that. But in that, in the gate of that pentacle is written the name Yad-He-Vah-He, which, you know, if you know anything as Jehovah in the Jewish system of Kabbalah and all that. So anyways, I want to go over some of these key points, and I also want to show you how to make your ritual equipment, how to consecrate it, the tools you'll need, and the proper way of making things. You know, to the best of my ability. I'm a craftsman by heart. Some of the things I do or make, you know, I expect you probably might not be able to, but it's important that you make them yourselves and you really put your heart into it and really have true meaning into it. And I'll be showing you things that I have, you know, in other videos and on how to make these things the best you can. Whether you have the equipment to do it or not, there's other alternative ways you can make this, but the point is, on the gates themselves, do we have to make them exactly as they're made on there? No. But a lot of times you hear it said in magical lore and magical writings to not change anything that's written down unless you know and are versed in the languages and really understand what's going on. And a true Kabbalist will really understand what's going on in these grimoires. And I'm not talking about a Kabbalist versed in Jewish Kabbalah and all of that, you know, aspect right there. We all know a lot of the Jewish Kabbalah and the Jewish stories are all just repeats of the Sumerian and Babylonian stories. And obviously the Jews put their own twist on that. Not a lot of people really know that because so many people have been brainwashed into believing every single thing that's in the Bible. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of good in there. But there's also a lot of twisted truth, you know, that's been put there by the Jews, I believe, in my humble opinion. So, if we know and are versed in proper Kabbalah, and we know what's pleasing to the gods of Babylon and Sumer, and we really know their nature, and we really study the Sumerian myths and legends, we know what's pleasing to the gods, and we would know what to put on there as far as their symbolism and what's pleasing to them. And I want to go through this journey step by step and bring you along the way and show you basic things, at least the best that I can see them, with also a couple of keys. One other short little key I want to give you right now is the word Babel itself. And the word Babel comes from Akkadian, and the name itself means gate of the gods. And as we all know about the whole Old Testament story in the Bible, the Tower of Babel, you know, supposedly they built a tower that went all the way to the heavens, you know, which, come on, do we really believe that? I don't think so. We can't even build towers like that today. But the point of the story is that's being looked over, if you look at it without the Jewish spin on it, is that whatever was going on in Babylon there, they definitely did have something, some kind of gate that they were communing to the gods with, or something to where the gods were coming down, the Anunnakis or whatever, and, you know, having interaction with human beings, you know, their creation. According to their epics, we are a hybrid race, you know, that's been genetically modified by them, jump-started, I guess, you know. But that's a whole nother issue. The issue I have here I want to stick to is with the gates and the gate walking. Now, this video right here is probably about 10 minutes. On the next one, I'm going to make a part 2, and I'm going to go over with signs and symbolisms on the gates. And also, I want to give you a couple of keys, and one very important key that I think will help you out. So with that being said, let's venture.